Matt Riddle's ex-wife called out multiple ex-roster divas, implying their bodies were all jiggly and needed work. She body shamed them, saying they get paid too much money to look like they do. She compared them to her own body, while displaying a much more toned and defined physique. Of course, this did not go down well with the female wrestlers, nor did it reflect well on their co-worker Matt Riddle. It only served to give the impression that this is how Riddle talks about them at home with his wife. It was so left field because it came from the wife of a wrestler who had never even been a part of the company. Seth Rollins did not like Matt Riddle due to his ex-wife body-shaming Becky Lynch, and Seth assumed that Matt was on the same boat. Riddle sensed that this situation hurt his career, even though he apologized to Seth for his wife's comments and wished him and his new baby that was on the way well. It certainly didn't help to see that Riddle's ex-wife didn't look all too sorry about her statements with her unserious response to the drama she created afterwards. Since then, Seth says in an interview with Logan Paul that they worked it all out after Riddle apologized for everything, and that he is not one to hold a grudge. However, Riddle is not without his faults, as he still seems to find himself in trouble with other wrestlers a lot, and even developed a reputation for trash-talking many wrestlers. In fact, there was a lot of drama centered around him. Riddle defended himself by saying that the trash-talking comes from his fight side during his time at the UFC, where the fighters would say whatever they wanted. In the UFC, they would talk crap, talk viciously, and be mean and cruel. So, to milk the ongoing drama between Seth and himself, Riddle admitted to suggesting to Seth Rollins that he should call him a deadbeat dad and follow this along with saying that's why his wife left him, because they don't really want to be around him. During their live segment together on the show, Riddle knew that this comment would stoke the fires and make people's jaw drop, which it definitely did. However, Riddle stated that if Seth had suggested this, Riddle would have most likely knocked him out. But back to how Matt Riddle's mouth being the epicenter of a lot of tension backstage. Back in 2019, Matt Riddle posted a video of himself on Twitter, talking about how he will beat the number 2 out of Chris Jericho, saying that he was soft. Even in Chris Jericho's prime, Riddle says that he still would have beat the number 2 out of him. In 2020, reports emerged that Brock Lesnar and Matt Riddle got into a verbal altercation backstage. It stated that Brock Lesnar had grabbed Riddle by the neck and told him that they would never work together and to keep his mouth shut. So, it may not have been all that surprising when the 2022 Royal Rumble came around. It seemed like Matt Riddle was being set up to win the Royal Rumble in 2022. But on the day, Riddle said in an interview that a certain someone did not want to do that. Instead, this particular someone preferred to throw everybody out of the ring. This someone, as you might have guessed, was Brock Lesnar. Riddle stated, "I don't want to mention names, but somebody didn't want to do any of the spots and just wanted to throw everybody out of the ring. If we did argue, you just got bashed in the head with a world title." Another incident was with Goldberg. Matt Riddle boldly declared that he was not a huge fan of his work in wrestling. In response to Goldberg saying how successful he had been as a wrestler, Riddle decided to double down on what he said by saying his comments can't be seen as disrespectful, because it's true. Riddle says he would never go back to watch a classic of Goldberg's fights, especially since Goldberg doesn't have a standout fight in his career. With all of this built-up drama between the old-time and the new-time wrestler, the first time Riddle meets Goldberg is on camera, which some people thought was staged. Matt Riddle also tweeted during Goldberg and The Undertaker's disastrous fight how Goldberg did an awesome job bleeding despite the fight only beginning, clearly taking a shot at the wrestler once again. Another alleged incident was when he was accused of SA by Candy Cartwright, a female wrestler at the time who was on the bus with Riddle and other wrestlers in 2018. She stated that when the other 3 wrestlers had fallen asleep, Riddle had asked her to hop on his member, which she refused. She then stated that Riddle grabbed her by the throat and said to her, "What if I just made you?" She goes on to say that to avoid what would have been the worst-case scenario, she ended up giving him oral sex. She found it extremely humiliating and was hoping the other wrestlers would not wake up before it was over. Moving on, it was clear that the divorce with his ex-wife was affecting him. Riddle claims that he went home one day, and his wife wanted a divorce. He proceeded to get all of his things and got out of the house as his ex-wife wanted him to. Unfortunately, a week later, one of his kids calls him to ask why his brother's football coach was now living with them. While this might have been painful, Riddle goes on to do more questionable things later on. Before the WWE, Matt Riddle wrestled at the UFC. The UFC saw a lot of potential in Matt Riddle after knocking out Dan Simler within seconds of the second round by breaking his jaw, making him one of the first picks by Team Rampage. After some years, however, Matt Riddle was let go by the UFC, and here's why. Riddle seemed to have a habit of self-destructive behavior. He was supposedly fired from the UFC for taking banned substances. Dana White aired out all his dirty laundry in an interview. White said that Riddle told him how smoking weed stopped him from beating his 3 kids. Although, some might question how serious this statement was, especially with Dan White's disdain for the former UFC fighter. Dana White says that he let Matt Riddle go because of his failed drug tests, despite Riddle only needing to fight 3 times a year. One of the best things to have happened to Matt Riddle was his duo with Randy Orton. Sadly, Randy Orton's injury put a halt to their much-anticipated run together and probable singles match, leaving fans starved of an unlikely comedic partnership. Matt Riddle's skills in the ring shone so brightly, even Randy Orton was eager to work alongside him. The audience loved these two together, despite their opposing personalities, and looked forward to seeing them every week. They even combined their theme songs to become a tag team. When Orton became injured, however, the audience never got to see the duo run its course. The final few nails in the coffin of Matt Riddle's career at the WWE came when another law enforcement official accused Riddle of SA in 2023. Soon after, TMZ showed footage of him seemingly out of it at the airport. This was a defining moment for Riddle, as people saw the endless controversy surrounding him as a sign that it was only a matter of time until he was let go from the most popular wrestling platform, the WWE. In September, a paper reported that Riddle had burned through too many chances and was no longer at the company, a talent that many were sad to see let go due to his likable character and potential in the company. This was a sad end to his career, given the unmatched potential of Matt Riddle and the storylines he had developed during his tenure on the show. Not too long afterwards, the merger between the WWE and the TKO Holdings Group went live, and this added to the speculation that Dana White was the reason behind Matt Riddle's release, particularly as White had stated in the past that he was never going to work with Riddle again. Some could say the beginning of this partnership was the end of Matt Riddle's career at the company, and might have been the deal that the WWE had to make in order for the merger to happen.